What's up, Ranger fans? Broadway Blue Bleeder here, bringing you episode number 4 in the weekly wrap-up series. Before we begin, I have some news. Just wanted to let you guys know we're going to be moving these videos to Monday. We're going to record them Sunday night, post them out on Monday. It just works a lot easier with my work schedule. I've been going back to work, so it's really hard to do videos on Tuesdays, especially with the Rangers playing so many games on Tuesday now. But Wednesday, I should say, is going to be filled with some articles that I want to start writing. You're going to find those on our website, broadwaybluebleeder.com. If you guys have any suggestions for anything else you want to see us do, you can leave them there. There is an email or a way to contact us at the bottom. Just shoot us an email and we'll take it in consideration for sure. I do want to say this is my 4th episode. I've been doing this for about 6 weeks now, and the love has been amazing. I love doing this. I love talking about the Rangers. I love watching games with an analytical kind of eye, and I love talking about them. Whether people agree or not, whether people are really listening or not, doesn't really matter. I love doing this, and couldn't do it without some of you guys that have been behind me this whole way. Please just keep it up. I love it. I love it. I love it. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends as much as you can. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get right into it, though. Last week was a big week. 4 games on the schedule for the Rangers. 2 wins, a loss, and an overtime loss. Kind of put a damper on the rest of the season for some people. There's also the trade deadline and a couple other acquisitions, including another... I think my notes are wrong. It says another defender. Rangers are kind of rich there already, so what would they... Well, we'll get into it. Let's start with the first game. First game was Tuesday, April 6th. That was an 8-4 win against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That was a game a lot of people were pointing to, saying that was going to be the game that flipped the season for us. That was going to be the beginning of a strong push for the playoffs, because it was a great win against a great team. Pump the brakes. And I said that in my shorts. If you guys don't know, I do have a shorts page on YouTube. Just search Broadway Blue Bleeder Shorts. You'll find out each day I post about a 30-second video reviewing anything and all things Rangers. You'll see that I've been saying this for a week. It's not just because it's been a week since it's happened, so I know what's happened. I've been calling this all along. Just want to prop myself up a little bit there. Makes me feel good. Pat on the back. My arm hurts. Let's go. But it's funny that a lot of people were pointing to that game as the game to turn the season around, because of those same people were bitching about Quinn juggling the lines again. He had claimed that Vitaly Kravtsov won't be ever on the 4th line. He was practicing on the 4th line. Blackwell got moved up. Kakko got moved down. Bitch, bitch, bitch. Moan, moan, moan. Rangers come out and win 8-4. Was it a great win? In ways, it was a great win for developments of the kids. It was a great win in sense of it looks good for the standings. I don't think it was a good team win. I really think Igor Shesterkin stole that game for the Rangers. Made 41 saves on 45 shots. Yes, he gave up 4 goals, but a lot of those shots were high opportunity, high chance shots, and he shut them down. He really kept them from gaining any kind of momentum. Basically did exactly what a number 1 goalie should do, because that's what Shesterkin is. He is our number 1 goalie going forward. The other guy that really kept the Penguins out of it and kind of kept the pressure on them was Artemi Panarin. How many times do we say that? This guy's been worth every fucking penny we gave him. He has been unconditionally lights out each and every game. There are, maybe not each and every game, but for the most part, he doesn't disappear. When you're thinking about people that didn't show up, it's typically not Artemi Panarin. Guy's just been awesome. We'll get into what he did in a little bit, because it's part of another game recap, but he's worth every penny. He makes everybody around him better. He's another reason for the defense to keep an eye on him. You know, it's great to have him, especially when this team is developing as well as they are. The kids' line that game was absolutely phenomenal. They wound up with 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists in the game for the kids, which is always great to see. Like I said, it was a great developmental game because the kids really took that next step that game, and they started playing well. That third line, that is the baby line, the kids' line, the diaper line, whatever you want to call it, I'm calling it a win line, because they are looking phenomenal together. Hedl, Kakko, and Loff absolutely play well together. That line is really gelling, and it's really exciting to see what our kids' future is going to be. Kakko, again, hasn't had a full actual NHL season. Yes, he came in last year. He had his training camp, but he had the season cut short. Then he had the restart. He's looked like an absolute beast since that restart. His defensive game was always kind of questionable coming into the draft. You look next to his offense, it's A++++. Kid was supposed to be good offensively. Defensively, he was kind of a question, and the fact that his defensive game has rounded off better than his offensive game already is phenomenal to see. Kid's going to be a stud. Don't give up on him. Just trust me on this. Lafreniere's coming around too. Heedle's looking good. Hopefully he's returning from, or hopefully his injury is healing better. I really still think he's going to be a potential number 2 center for this team, barring off-season moves, which we'll get into. But that line is just, it's great to see. All of the kids are developing really well. Yes, it's slower than some people are expecting, but that's fine because the season wasn't about the playoffs anyway. It was about the development of the kids, which is technically our playoff. That's a game that was really weird to say that our defense was kind of holding us back, because that's not something you typically hear from a Rangers fan. But that game, it was kind of the defense falling apart and the offense stepping up. Defense has been phenomenal all year. They're going to have a couple games here and there where they're not going to be playing up to their potential. This happened to be one of them. Like I said, Igor Panarin bailed them out. Without those guys, I really don't see this as a win. Maybe it is a win. They squeak it out, but I feel like the Penguins were coming along too strong. And without those 3 points from Panarin in that first period, that game's not going to end 8-4 in our favor. Same thing with Igor not being in that. I don't think that game's a win. Which brings us to the next game, because the consistency of this team is absolutely mind-blowing. They look great one game, terrible the next, great one game, blah, 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 blah. Again, I know I said that wasn't a great overall win, but a win's a win's a win. But anybody that knew that wasn't a great win kind of saw this next game coming. 5-2 loss versus Pittsburgh. They missed a litany of opportunities. Mika Zibanejad had a wide open net, decided to take a slap shot off a feed from Buchnevich, hit the side of the net, could have changed the game there. Filipino in the second had a beautiful pass from Capo Caco in front of the net. Goalie wasn't even in the net, and Heedle missed wide. Another opportunity to change that game around. Chris Kreider got taken down from behind, had a penalty shot, couldn't convert. That's another goal that could have changed that game around. And side note, I fucking hate that goddamn rule. If you're getting a penalty shot because you were taken down on a clear breakaway, the advantage should be to the team that drew the penalty, not even. Chris Kreider is not a penalty shot guy. He does not have good hands. I always call him hands of stone. You should be able to, as a team, decide who you want to take that penalty shot. Whether you do that in the beginning of the game, you give a list, this is my guy. If we get a penalty shot, he's taking it. I think there needs to be more help, I guess is a lack of a better word, for the team that drew the penalty. I feel like that's kind of unfair. If you have a defenseman with hands of stone, of course you're going to take him down because the odds of him scoring on a penalty shot are slim. If it's Artemi Panarin, I guarantee you he doesn't get taken down there, because if he does, he's going to bury that puck on the penalty shot. So I think that's something that needs to be figured out a little bit better going forward. I mean, that's just my opinion. But again, just missed opportunities. That game really came back to bite us in the ass. But again, that's a game a vet team with playoff aspirations would win. They'd find a way to overcome those deficiencies and find out a way to win, because you have to scratch, fight, and claw. The Rangers didn't really scratch, fight, and claw that game. Those missed opportunities kind of got to them, didn't do much the rest of the way. Like I said, they wound up losing 5-2, just a bad game. Igor was decent in that game. It's tough to do much with, defensive lapses in front of him again. It wasn't as pronounced as the game before, I don't think, but they were there enough, and there was nothing there to cover those deficiencies up, or the lack of awareness, whatever you want to call it. So it's tough, but that's something, again, a young team is going to learn from. They're going to grow from this. These kids are still going through growing pains. They're not veterans yet. A lot of people tend to forget that. This whole season, as we know, has been filled with growing pains. And it's going to change. It's going to happen probably the rest of the year. It is what it is, but these kids are going to learn from these experiences, and that's what this season's all about. That's why that win wasn't the end of the world to me. A lot of people saw it as the end of our playoff chance. I didn't think we had a playoff chance going back prior to that, but that kind of put the nail in the coffin for some people. The one person I do want to point out from that game that had a great game was the rookie Vitaly Kravtsov. That kid has been playing phenomenal since he first stepped out on the ice with the Rangers. He didn't have any goals, still doesn't have goals to this point, but he's just getting better and better. I believe that game he wound up playing on almost each line, if he didn't get each line, just to see where he's going to fit in with this team, because he's, I think, another centerpiece for this team. We have a lot of youth on this team, a lot of places they got to be, and not enough spaces for them. I think there's going to be some tough decisions going forward. We'll get to that again. But just wanted to point out Kravtsov has been looking great since he came here. Kind of expected. I didn't think he'd be this well. He adjusted pretty well. His speed is there. He's got strength. He's got vision. This team's going to be exciting. This next game that I want to talk about, again, is another one of those consistency things with this Ranger team. This was a game, I think, coming off a bad 5-2 loss against the Penguins that many people thought was going to be a blowout. We wound up playing the Islanders. We wound up beating them 4-1. And it was a great game to see. I think that may have been our most complete game from top to bottom, beginning to end. A lot of people have been saying that a lot this year, but I really think this is going to be that game. I think this is also the game that kind of a lot of things clicked with these kids. The defense was great. The offense was there. Georgiev started because it was the second game of a back-to-back, and Georgiev has a phenomenal record against the Islanders. I believe he's got 2 shutouts now in his 8 games against them, one of 3 goaltenders for the Rangers to do that, which is pretty impressive. He looked phenomenal. He looked exactly like a backup should when he's spelling the starter. Your starter goes down, you want a capable backup. Georgiev looked like a capable backup that game. Really kept the Rangers in it, kept the Islanders out of it completely, kept them off balance. The defense had a lot of pressure that game. It was really good game to see, especially from the kids. Again, I believe they had 4 points that game. 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. Kako, I can't say enough about this kid. He looks better and better every game. At least 3 or 4 times a game you hear Kako's name get called after a phenomenal defensive play. Whether it's his stick positioning, his body positioning, stealing the puck, a little body check to bump somebody off the puck, setting up guys in the offensive zone, whatever it is, you always hear his name, and I really feel he's been one of the strongest skaters the Rangers have had this entire season. I know there's some stats out there that back that up. I'll get into those eventually, put some of those on the website so you guys can see it as well. But he's going to be a stud. The kid is going to absolutely be a stud. His offense is coming around. He's getting more assists. He's seeing the ice a lot better. He's starting to shoot the puck, which is great to see. K'Andre Miller. Man, does that kid have a fucking shot. He had an absolute laser beam. I thought it went through their goalie. That was his 4th goal of the season. He's leading, I believe, the rookies still to this point in rookie defenseman for goals this season with 4. He's just getting better and better each game. His stick work is unbelievable. He's always got his stick in the right position, his body in the right position. He's taken his lumps this year, but he's learned from them. You rarely hear his name being mentioned with a bad play. It's usually turning somebody off or pushing somebody off the puck, turning the puck up ice, getting it up quickly. Exit entry passes. He's been doing it all. Him and Trouba are a great defensive pair together. Don't at me about Trouba. Trouba is what he is. A lot of people are expecting him to come in and be this offensive juggernaut. Not his fault. He had, I think, 1 season with 50 points or more. Other than that, he never really did it. Not sure where he got the offensive label from, but he's got it, whatever it may be. Yes, we're slightly overpaying him. I still think he's the second best defenseman on this team. And he's really helping K'Andre Miller grow. And the kids as well. He's really helping them grow. So I think he's going to be a stalwart on this defense for some time. Sorry, I'm just checking over my notes here. And like I said, this might have been the most complete game. The defense was just, they shut him down, and that's great to see. The Islanders had made a trade, I believe the day before or 2 days before this game. They got, I'm drawing a blank, Zach Parise and Travis Zajac from the Devils in an interdivision trade, which you usually don't see. And they shut him down. They didn't let him get anything. Barzal wasn't even really mentioned much that game. It was a great game to see where our defense is at against a great offensive team. And we won it, top to bottom again. We won that game. Great game going forward. You wanted to see them use this momentum to keep building, keep getting better, keep pushing teams, keep getting where they need to be. Adam Fox, I know I say this all the time, is just an absolute monster. I still can't believe we got him for 2 second-round picks from Carolina. Steal of the century. That guy's finally getting some Norris recognition. If you guys have a subscription to The Athletic, go on at theathletic.com, search for Shayna Goldman. She put out a phenomenal article on what Norris candidates should be. And Adam Fox checks every single one of those boxes. It's a travesty up until this point that he hadn't gotten any recognition from the league. And it's all because of his draft position. If he was drafted in the first round, you wouldn't stop hearing his name, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Enough of this give the time kids to develop blah 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 bullshit for these trophies. If a kid is in his second year in the league and he's the best defenseman, then give him the goddamn trophy. I hate that he has to wait his turn. That's old school bullshit, and it doesn't count anymore. Adam Norris deserves recognition for this for the Norris Trophy, and he deserves recognition for what he's doing for this team. He's been absolutely amazing to watch, night in, night out. The guy never makes a mistake. He's just always where he needs to be. His stick works great. He could probably be a better skater overall, but I'm not going to complain. It's great to see, like I said earlier, these kids just really developing this year. And again, that's what this year was about, was the development. And we're starting to see that. The next game the Rangers had, they had a day off. Then they played again on Sunday the 11th. That was a 3-2 overtime loss to the Islanders. Again, it's kind of another game a lot of people thought they were going to get blown out, weren't going to be able to compete with the Islanders for whatever reason, probably because, like I said earlier, they have yo-yo games where they look great, then they look like crap, then they look great. They didn't look like crap, but they didn't look great. They went down early 0-2. This was a game Shesterkin started. A lot of people were pissed off that he was starting this game, saying Georgiev should have played because look at his numbers against the Islanders. I don't buy it. That's great if he has great wins, great numbers against the Islanders, but again, Shesterkin is our goalie for the future. Georgiev is a capable backup. He doesn't deserve the bulk of the starts. They need to go to Shesterkin, and they did. Shesterkin kept us in that game. Yes, he gave up 2 early goals, but he didn't give up anything the rest of the way until overtime, which overtime's complete bullshit farce anyway, so we won't even get into that. But they did what they were supposed to do. They came back, tied it up 2-2. Vitaly Kravtsov had his first assist. He's, like I said before, he's looking great. He played on every line multiple times that game, and he just kind of fit in everywhere. That was kind of a playoff game, I think, for the kids. You know, it was a playoff-like atmosphere, especially against the hated rivals like the Islanders. To come out down 2-0, battle back, scratch, claw, fight, bite, you name it, they did it. Kind of like I mentioned before that the Penguins did. That's what you want to see from a team that's learning. There was also a rumor that between, I believe it was the second intermission, I want to say it was the first intermission actually, Quinn had mentioned that he didn't even go into the locker room because they were just not playing where they were supposed to, and he kind of stayed out of the locker room. Rumor has it again, Trouba stepped up, really got the team going where they needed to be. They came out, like I said, they tied it up. They played a great game after that first period. They just got to learn how to come out starting fast. Middle periods are always great for them. Third periods, unless it's a 1-goal lead, it's usually pretty good. But again, it's going to be something that's fixed. It's going to be worked on. These kids are going to learn from these mistakes. They're going to learn from these kind of games. You learn more in a loss than you do in a win anyway. So whatever. Yeah, probably eliminated us completely from the playoffs. I think at that point there was I wrote it down, 9% chance after that loss that they're going to make the playoffs. It's really going to be really, really tough. Boston's ahead of us. They have 2 games in hand. Yes, we play them at the end of the season, but a lot of people don't realize they play 2 more games after our series. So going into that series, we effectively need to be up on them, or down by, I think it was 5 points. And if we sweep those games, we're good. It's a long stretch to win. It's not going to happen. This is why I'm saying the Rangers are effectively eliminated. But it's fine. You know, play spoiler. Play gritty, play what you got to play how you want to play how you need to play, and maybe push some of these guys out, maybe change the seeding or whatever it may be. But just because the season's over doesn't mean the team's going to give up. This team's going to continue to fight. They're going to continue to develop. The kids are going to get better. I just don't see the playoffs this year. I'm sorry, I am a Rangers fan. Don't tell me I'm not, because I am. But realistically, it's not in the cards for them. And I don't think it was supposed to be in the cards from the beginning of the season anyway. Like I said earlier, this is supposed to be a developmental season, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of the young kids playing. They're getting more and more minutes, more and more shifts. Power play 2 finally is getting more time and opportunities. They've been looking good. That first Penguins game, I believe the power play was 4 for 4, which is great to see. And a goal or 2 was scored by the second unit, which is awesome. I still don't understand why Strom's out there on the first power play. I love the guy. He's really turned into something better than I think a lot of fans thought. I just don't understand why he's on power play 1 still. Too many right-handed shots. Move Kakko up finally. Get him some power play 1 time. Or alternate it with the kids. Put Kravtsov up there for, a shift. Put Kakko up there for a shift. Put Eichel up there. Put Loff up there. Just get these kids more reps, get them more power play time, put them on the penalty kill at this point. What do you got to lose? I think it's going to be interesting going forward for the rest of the season to see what this team's going to do and how they're going to play. I'm really thinking it's going to be some positive signs for the future the rest of the way for this season. So again, the Rangers had 4 games. They came away with 5 points. Again, effectively eliminating from the playoffs, but not a big deal. Development, man. That's all this season's about. Let's get to the big news on the trade deadline front, because the Rangers added a player. But you may be saying, what do you mean? The Rangers didn't make any trades? No, not in the typical sense they didn't make a trade, but they did add Vitaly Kravtsov before the trade deadline, which is just as good as a trade acquisition, but it's even better because you didn't lose anyone. Well, you lost Lemieux, but it's not really a loss. Whatever. Sunshine's playing over in California, so be it. After the Islander game, though, on Monday during the trade deadline, there was a lot of rumors that Zach Jones, a.k.a. the most recent collegiate hockey champion, was going to sign with the Rangers. Zach Jones is a defenseman. Why would he sign with the Rangers, you ask? Well, he's supposed to be pretty damn good. It's pretty exciting to see him sign so early. He was very adamant before the championship game that he was not going to come to the NHL. He wanted to return to UMass for another season. I don't know what was said to him, what changed his mind, but I'm really glad it did, or whoever did it. He changed his mind and he's coming. He signed, actually yesterday, I believe he signed his contract. It was a 3-year entry-level contract. He's going to burn that first year by playing this year. It's not a big deal. Relax. If he would have signed next year due to his age and playing time in college, he only would have signed an ELC for 2 years. So it's either 3 years and burn a year, so you end up with 2 next year, or you sign him at the end of the season and he has 2 seasons next year. It's not a big deal that they're burning this. They want to see what they have in this kid. Like I said earlier, they have a dearth of defense. It is ridiculous how deep they are. Quinn also mentioned, and Gordon during trade deadline, because they didn't actually make any trade moves, that they did receive a bunch of calls, but they just didn't see anything fitting their needs. Especially with Nils Lundqvist coming over next season, he's supposed to get a shot at training camp, maybe get into the starting line. So it's just really exciting to see all of these young players coming together finally. Due to the amount of defense we have in young prospects, I do think you're going to see an off-season trade to unload some of them. Rumor has it we're really interested in Jack Eichel. He just underwent neck surgery, I believe it was today, so his season's effectively over. And I believe his no movement clause or no trade clause kicks in next year. So there is a potential that he doesn't come. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Yes, it would be great to have a generational talent like Eichel. There are some rumors that he's kind of not the best teammate. He's not really good in the locker room. Who knows if that's just because he's playing for the shitty Buffalo Sabres or if it's just because that's who he is. My biggest fear with getting someone like Eichel is who we're going to be taking time away from. I don't think it's time to give up on Eichel. I still think he could be a solid number 2 center. But that also means there's going to be a logjam at center if that's the case. So I think you're going to see either Strome or Eichel moved in a move for Eichel if that's the way they go. Or Elias Pettersson, who's supposedly, not supposedly, he'll be available. So there's a couple different ways the Rangers can go with that, but I do think some of the youth is going to have to get moved in order to put them here. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think Eichel's obviously, or not Eichel, Heidel's on a level of Eichel. Eichel's obviously much, much better. But I don't want to give up on kids too soon, you know what I mean? So it should be interesting to see what they do this offseason. I think the team's going to be a little bit different coming into next season. One of the big things I think is going to happen, I've been called out on it, whatever, is I don't think Georgiev's part of this team's future. I know he's not part of the team's future, but I don't think he's going to be on this team next year. Whether he's exposed to Seattle or he's traded during the offseason, I think they can use his $2.5 million. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot for a backup, especially when we have great history with backup goaltending. Ranta, Cam Talbot, Georgiev at this point, they've all rocked it as backups. Benoit Lear is an absolute wizard when it comes to goaltending and his techniques. Love that we have that guy. He's making Keith Kincaid look pretty good. Sorry, Ryan had to say it. Fox for Norris. Fox for Norris. Fox for Norris. Adam Norris. Adam Fox for Norris. Just gonna say that as many times as I can, because hopefully somebody will hear it and Adam Fox will get his fucking Norris Trophy. One of the other exciting things that I like that are going to be coming out is due to the trade deadline passing, I believe the roster limits are cut. I don't think you have to have, there's a certain roster limit that you need anymore, which I think means we're going to see a couple more call-ups from the AHL. Keep an eye out for Morgan Barron. He should be coming up very, very soon. He's a big, tough guy. He's a forward. He's going to be inserted into the lineup, see what we have. Like I said, especially with the playoffs kind of out of reach at this point, might as well get these kids some playing time. We also have Mason Gerstein coming up. He's supposed to be big, rough, big, brawly kind of guy. He's a tough guy. I believe he's a turned defenseman to a forward. So he'd be kind of like a fourth liner at this point. Maybe brings that grit, toughness that people say we lost with Lemieux leaving, which I don't understand at all, because we still have a guy named Ryan Lindgren who's pretty fucking tough and gritty. But it's a great time to be a Rangers fan. It's a really exciting time to be a Rangers fan. Like I said earlier, these kids are developing. The defense is light years ahead of where I thought it would be at this point. Igor's looking great. Again, I don't know if Quinn's the answer, but he's going to be the answer for the rest of the season, and most likely next season, barring a really shitty start for this team. And just sit back and watch, guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time to be a Rangers fan. That kind of wraps it up for today. Like I said earlier, we're going to be doing these videos coming out on Mondays instead of Sundays. You can catch me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I have my own group, Broadway Blue Bleeder. You can find me there. Check out our website. Like I said, there's going to be some articles coming up that I'm going to be writing up. It's going to be an exciting time to be a Broadway Blue Bleeder follower. Don't forget, again, tell your friends, like, comment, subscribe, share the shit out of this. Let's go Rangers, and let's get Adam Fox that Norris Trophy. One more thing I needed to add, I forgot to add this before. You guys have any listener questions, fan questions, whatever it is, like I said, you can find us at the website, BroadwayBlueBleeder.com. Send us an email. We'll feature your questions on a future episode. Any ideas that you guys want to see anything different, please let us know. We're open to suggestions. And again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I love, love, love doing this for you guys, whether it's 100 people that see it or it's 1 million people that see it. I love talking about the Rangers, because who doesn't? All right. Thanks, guys.